If you have an interest in horses and love learning more about horses, the horse industry, teaching, or even managing your own horse business, then you're in the right place. We would love you to join us on our mission, which is to improve the lives of horses around the world through the education of riders, handlers, and trainers. So get comfortable, listen in, and enjoy.
This podcast is brought to you by International Horse College. The mission of International Horse College is to improve the welfare of horses around the world through the safe education of riders, handlers and trainers. Have a look at the wide variety of courses now at internationalhorsecollege.com. Today's guest is going to further us in that mission to educate riders, handlers and trainers, and she's going to talk to us a little bit about head shaking and what could be going on. Equine CranioSacral. Maureen Rogers. Maureen, how are you?
I'm doing very well, thanks.
Good.
Appreciate it for having me.
Appreciate you spending the time, Maureen. I think this is important information. You know, head shake is like How many people, there's so many things, you know, could be this, could be that. But I think if you've got information there that's going to not just help people sort the problem out, but help the horses. So we'll get going with that. But I normally start off with a favourite quote, Maureen. What have you got?
My favorite quote is go big or go home.
Tell us why that's your favorite quote.
To me, it means show up for life. Step out there, do it big, or just forget about it. Go home.
Okay.
Present what you got. Yeah.
I just think the quick chat that we've had, you know, it's like putting in 110% effort and getting out there and doing it. So
exactly.
Yeah. Now, this whole equine craniosacral.
Yeah.
The workshops and everything that you do.
Uh-huh.
How did you get involved with that? You know, it's a little bit of, I don't think we've had anyone on. We've had nearly 600 people on. I don't think we've had anyone from that field, so which is why I'm so excited to talk to you.
Yeah.
How did you get into it? What started it?
Well, it all started because I suffered a severe neck injury myself.
Ah, that's interesting.
And I had a really severe neck injury in a snowboard accident in 1994 and lived in severe pain for a year. And I had a very active sport life, and that active sport life was gone. So it wasn't an option not having it. So what used to be normal to ride mountain bikes and ski and rock climb and do all these crazy things and ride horses, I didn't have that. And that was not a way for me to live. So a friend at the time said, you need to try this therapy called craniosacral. And I thought, what the heck is that? You know, and I tried it, received 2 sessions, and the results spoke for themselves. I had my normal, crazy, wild life back. Being an athlete of what nature I was. And I was curious, studied it for humans, and was intrigued by what happened and studied it for many years with a Scottish osteopath. And all at the same time I was studying it for humans, I got back into riding horses. And I had a horse that had an injury, a young foal, and I just was like, I'm going to do craniosacral on the horse. I didn't think about it. Yep. There was nothing that existed at the time. And it was instinctual, honestly. It was just like, just do this.
Yep.
And that's how it all took over. You know, it's just from there. And I just put it together. And a colleague at the school where I was teaching at the Utah College of Massage Therapy said, if you love horses and you love cranial, do something with it. Yep. So then I developed it as a therapy in the horse industry and have been doing that since 1998 and taught my first workshop in 1999. And never look back and won't, because it makes a lot of sense. So, labor of love.
Look, I love bringing in all these new things that people may not have heard about. You know, you're really pioneering the field of this particular type of treatment. You know, we keep looking at the holistic treatment and how one thing affects the others. I know you've got a couple of DVDs. So you're talking about conformation versus posture, myths unveiled, and also the cranio. What is it? Hope for head shakers. That's what it is.
Yeah.
You know, I think those DVDs are good, and you know, obviously they're on your website. You'll be able to get a bit more information.
Yes.
But getting into the horse industry, you see a lot of professionals. You know, if you're working, you see people who are passionate about their horses, and amateurs and professionals. But to be a professional in the horse industry, tell me the type of person that needs to be a professional in the horse industry. What are you seeing? You know, people who do a good job of looking after horses and everything else.
Yeah, to me, a lot of it is, number one, you show up for that horse because that's what you're getting involved in that industry for. And that's foremost, and it's beyond your reputation. It's beyond your ego. It's about the horse. And to me, that's not even a second doubt anywhere in my body. I get paid well for my private consultations, but you got to show up first for that horse. That's first and foremost, and have the integrity and know where your limits are in this industry. Like if there's something out of my spectrum of practice, I need to know that. You know, and know which professional to refer that to: horse trainer, equine dentist, farrier, you know, homeopath. It doesn't matter, acupuncturist, chiropractor. But it's really important that whenever you go to meet in this industry or any animal field or human field, that in this instance, the horse is number one, and you got to show up for them.
Yep. And you've talked about, you know, the first foal that you treated.
Yep.
Have there been any others that you think, wow, you know, I'm glad that I was here for that horse?
There's several, but there's some that stick out more where, and many times I am the last option for the horse owner. They've tried everything else, Western, Eastern, with limited result, no change, you know. And yes, there have, like Hector, who was the head shaker, who was made the DVD about him.
Oh, yeah.
He was very impactful in my life, in seeing and learning and opening up huge doors for horses who suffer from this condition present day. So they all touch me in different ways, but there's definitely the handful of them that really touch you in a different way because they're at the edge of the possibility of the door closing on their life. And, you know, I have the opportunity and the privilege, truthfully, to be able to help them. So, yeah. But Hector was a big one, and there was a few others here and there around the world. Elfie, another head shaker in Australia, who I worked with for many years. A venting horse in the UK from Team GB, who I treated, Tankerstown. There's just different ones, but they all mean something, and I'm not prejudiced to them. But they all teach different things all the time too.
Your proudest moment, you know, obviously each time that, you know, the horse improves.
Yes.
Can you think of a moment that you'd say, this has been my proudest moment? You know, even just people asking you to look at a horse. I think having a horse, you know, where you're the last resort. Yeah. What would you say would have been your proudest moment?
God, you know, that's a big question you're asking. Proudest moment.
And you might come back and say, look, you know, every time I fix a horse is a proud moment.
Well, it is truly that, because to me it's an honestly privilege, you know, and it's a compliment that these people trust me. And I mean, yeah, there's a horse, Max. I was just talking to the owner, and I haven't seen her in years and years, and he's one that sticks out, but there's many of them. You know, it's a tough call. He was a 19-year-old quarter horse, went lame. No one could figure it out. The vets told the owner to put the horse down, and the owner said, look, I don't have much money, and I heard you're expensive, but I know you can get the job done. And I said, okay, here's the plan. You know, we'll do one session, then I leave the country and I'll come back. We'll do another session, but I'm going to give you homework.
Yes.
And if you do the homework, I promise what I'm going to show you, your horse will get better.
Yeah.
And she did it religiously, and she rode that horse for 8 years after that. Wow. And the horse was just put down recently for other issues. And I, you know, that is a proud moment because she trusted me and she took what I taught her and put it to good use. It wasn't cranial. It's things I give all of my clients for homework that I put in my DVD because I know it's about what is possible from horse owners, trainers, I don't care, grooms, that if you do some hands-on simple things, you could help break down the larger patterns that exist in your horse. And that was pretty pivotal, I have to say, because she was dedicated.
Yeah. Now, what about, you know, because I'm sure you go to new areas and new horses and new problems. What do you think is one of the more common, you know, because we're thinking about educating people.
Yeah.
What can they look for? What can they do anything or any type exercises, or just give us a bit more information?
Yeah, I mean, the simplest things for people to look for to, you know, say if you have a horse that has a behavioral issue. Yeah. Yep. Simplest thing to look for is the symmetry in your horse's face.
Okay. Yes.
Because a lot of horses' behavioral issues, to me and in my experience, and to me, there's two different behaviors. There's natural behaviors to the horse. There's, okay, you have saddle fit that's not correct and the horse is behaving a certain way. But then say a spooky horse or a skittish horse or a nervous horse, 90% of that plus is from cranial compression. And if people could just look at their horse's symmetry and structure of their face, and that is the biggest clue, because 99% of the time the eyes are not in alignment due to injury and compression. And then the horse spooks more on the one side. So it's simple things. If people just knew what to look for, they'd be way ahead of the game. And then there's a therapy that they can get the help with the horse, Another thing would be looking at your horse's posture. Traditionally, it's known or believed that 60% of the horse's work is on the forehand. Yeah. And you see, if your horse was to stand there, your horse's front legs are behind the shoulder or underneath the shoulder. Yep. But that indicates your horse is overusing the fore and not using the hind end correctly. Mm-hmm. So if you're having canter issues, that's going to be a clue. So it's the simple little things like that. If people could learn to see those things, then they can take steps forward to making changes.
Okay.
Does that answer your question a little?
Yes, I think so. And I think it's about us, as horse people, to be observant, to notice all those little things. It's so important. Yeah.
Yeah, I fully agree. And honestly, what's amazing to me is 90% of the time it's the horse owner that says, I noticed this weird little thing about my horse, and they're so spot on.
Yes.
But they don't trust themselves, or another professional talked them out of it and said something else, or, it's the self-trust. And I'm telling you, it's just trusting, even if it seems like the weirdest, wildest thing, trust it. Yeah. Because you're on the right path 90% of the time, without a doubt.
Yeah. Now, what about if you go in? Do you get other professionals, or I'm sure you would have come across someone who just says, oh, come on, that's crazy. That's just wishy-washy. It's not real. It's not, what sort of challenges or people have challenged your thinking, and how have you overcome it?
Yeah, no, I love those people, because a good skeptic makes you, show up even more to be like, because it's very CranioSacral, and what you seeing being done looks very mystical, and there could be a little mysticalness to it, but it's truly bringing the musculoskeletal tissue into balance. And it's more deep than that, truthfully. But yes, I've come across many skeptics, and a lot of it truly is when people see the change. Mm-hmm. And, when you see the horse transform, that's the big point where people are like, wow, okay. But for those people, and how you get through it is you just have to realize you focus on the horse, because the horse knows. And anytime there's been a moment, and the few times that there has been, the horse is showing me the result, and that's all that matters.
Yeah.
So, okay. That's where it lies.
And then how soon? Is it like, I know that one you said, well, I can do one treatment and then you do these exercises. And I think earlier on you said 2 treatments, or you had 2 treatments. Is this something that's going to reoccur because there's a weakness there? Or is it, you can do 1 or 2 treatments and then the horse is fixed forever? Tell us a bit more about the treatment.
Well, I'll say, there's acute and chronic conditions, And if I have a more severe case, like if I have a head shaker and the only option is putting him down because he's so severe, I have to treat that horse differently than a horse that's being, just a horse, somebody's casual horse, or, your regular hack. Who they're out just having a good time, but then it's not used for competition. So I look at that very differently, those each cases. But generally anyone with their horse, I say generally 5 sessions is the best. If you really want to break down the layers and get a really balanced horse to train and continue to train on, and you maintain that here and there. But what I love about CranioSacral is you don't need it once a week, or you don't need it, every 10 days. And every case is truly individual. But what's amazing is because we decompress the head and we include the treatment of the head with the whole body, what's beautiful is the balance stays. I mean, I just treated a horse today, and I haven't seen that horse for 5 years, and I was so impressed in seeing him. I was like, wow, he's really retained himself. And the woman stopped working him because he got a little dangerous for her. He's a big Bolshe horse, and she was trying to find a trainer, and she's like, she wasn't ready to do it. But in seeing him, I was impressed with how his body was, because he was a wreck when I first met him, even a couple years before that. So love that. Unless the horse has another injury, then they'll compensate again.
Okay.
But you're always, it's kind of like peeling back layers. Mm-hmm. But the cool thing about the body is it heals quicker than it took the injury to metastasize.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yes. Yes.
So yeah, that's how it kind of goes. Yeah.
Okay. Now, if someone's interested in this type of work, right, and they contact you and said, I want to do exactly what you do, what sort of work do they need to, I mean, obviously some sort of a knowledge with horses and be able to handle horses and work with them safely, but what else do they need? Do they need any sort of a medical background coming in, or a massage?
It's really nice. It's really nice to to have a horsey background, a basic massage course, so they kind of know some sense of anatomy. But I'm not prejudiced to that or not. My biggest and most important thing for safety is horse handling.
Yes.
Because if they don't know how to handle a horse, because I receive many emails from people who are human cranial trained and they want to come treat horses and train in it. And it's dangerous. I mean, cranial can be very dangerous with a head shaker or another horse where sometimes they rear up, sometimes, because especially if they had severe injury somewhere, like a horse can kick out. And if you don't know that behavior, understand how to read it, you can get really injured. Yeah. So I prefer to have people who've had previous horse education and a therapy. I don't care what it is, but, horse handling is number one for sure.
Something about anatomy, physiology.
Yeah. I mean, that's, I think basic horse owners ought to have that as far as I'm concerned. Like, go take a dissection course.
For sure. For sure. Yeah,
it could only help you.
Yep. All right. Now, just thinking about, I know that you travel a lot, you go abroad a lot. If someone wants to contact you to come out to, where are you traveling in the next year or so that they could maybe fit you in, see what you're doing?
Let's see. My schedule, I'm always working on it all the time.
You're going to New Zealand in November, aren't you?
Yes, which is very exciting. Equitana, they contacted me and asked if I'd come to New Zealand. And I always love Equitana. It's I've done the one in Australia for many years.
Yes.
So I'll be there in November. I have a class coming. And then all of the upcoming workshops are always available on the website, equine CranioSacral.com. Yeah.
Okay. Now, if people want to contact you, is that the best way? Just to go to the website?
Yeah, please. I mean, best to go on the website. I mean, we check our Facebook page, Equine CranioSacral Workshops. I have 2 pages, and Maureen Rogers' page, and any of that. But it's nowadays I find I'm checking every bloody thing. So, it's like, oh my God, Instagram too now. So the best thing is please go to the website, send us an email, info at the page. You have the different contacts. You could shoot an email. And because of my travel schedule, I just let people know if you don't hear from me or the office immediately, that's not a negative. We will always get back to you.
All right.
So I just let people know that.
Yes. Yeah. It's always, it can be a bit of a
please
problem.
Reach out. It's always good. You bet.
Okay, those details will be on Horse Chats /Maureen Rogers, or just go to Horse Chats and search for Maureen or search for Rogers, and you'll find those details at the bottom of the page there as well. Just for those, sometimes people are driving when they do podcasts, they're out working or riding or, doing something where they don't just have that little bit of I'll write
in the kitchen
that down.
Cooking. Yeah.
Exactly. So, they can get on from that. Look, Maureen, this has been very good. I think we can have a chat again if you're available.
Love it.
Yeah, I'd like to go into a bit more depth.
They definitely love it. So we could talk more about head shaking.
Yes.
Yeah, that'd be great.
And head shaking is a big problem.
It's huge. It's huge.
Yes. And I think that whole wide variety of things that it could be, but I think it's certainly something to consider and probably earlier rather than later.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep.
All right. Well, thanks for chatting, and we'll catch up again soon, I'm sure, and just hear a bit more and go into a bit more depth about the head shaking. It'd be great.
I love it. Look forward to it, and thank you so much for having me on as your guest. Appreciate it, Glenys.
Remember that our comments and instructions are general in nature and do not take into consideration your individual horses or your individual ability and circumstances. If you enjoyed this podcast, then please leave your comment below.